Question is that the motion be agreed to. The Honourable Parakura Haramia.
Chair, tino mihi atu ki a koe mo tō kororo I roto te whare nei, I roto tō tātou rau, ko tēnei no te wiki o te rau Māori, e mihi koe ala ki a koe. Ia koutou, tautoko ti atu te tīmata te whakaotinga nei a tō tātou tuahine a Tariana, mō koutou e tāika hatu I konei, e kuripi I Glenn koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou. E mohi atu tātou e rōrō hoki atu te tāe I te wā nei, e mohi atu koutou ngā taumaha, ngā piki, ngā heke, engari e kahatu koutou hei tāe pai atu I te rangi nei. E tino rangi nei mō koutou, orite atu koutou ki tō nohunga, rōrō atu mai te wā te whare miere nei, engari I mihi kona. Tēnā koutou mō tō kaha, tēnā koutou mō tō manaaki. Kia rātau o ngā uri e tīmatatu te āhua te whenua nei, tūwhare toa, a mania poto, a koutou o rere ahu, me rātou o raukawa, e mihi koana, ki rātou katoa. A rangatiro o tērā wā, me koutou katoa o tēnei wā. Tēnā koutou mo te kaharawa I te tae atu, I konei heirongo ki te otinga nei. E tikatu I runga te tūnei e mihi koana kia te minita a Chris Finlayson, o tōna kaha I te tae atu I konei. Ia rātou ngā kaimahi pērā ia koutou e hone, tēnā koutou. Tēnā no te mea I roto te kororo mo te whare nei e waihoti atu tātou rātou. E mihi kaina ki oku hoa mahi o ngā tau a murira, a Michael Cullen mā, e whai atu ki te take nei. E whakaaro atu I te rangi e tae atu tātou I te tūwhera tia o te whare mo te tūruhi I tō rātou wāhi, e tīmata te tātou te hainatanga o te hairanga o te kareme nei. No rere mihi koina kia koutou kia rātou. Tēnā tātou. Ia rātou e kore e konei, ngā tūpakeke e whai atu a tēnei tino take, e mihi koina ki ngā rere haere. Tēnā tātou. Mr. Chair, the people of the Maraeroa A and B blocks comprised hapu of affiliating to Ngāti Rereahu, Ngāti Maniapoto, Ngāti Tūwhare Tō, and Ngāti Raukawa. So it's interesting in that sense that this settlement is certainly about uri of those original owners. And that they were dispossessed through actions of the Crown is something that is etched in our history, that the Crown saw fit to purchase under duress and unnecessary pressure where the people wanted to least lightly is something that we are putting right today. And certainly over a period of time, Maraeroa in its own right is this significant wāhi tapu there, significant wāhi tapu there that they certainly have preserved, not just in their hearts and their minds, but in practice over years. And now to have the free run of those, and that everybody else understands that it is their area, is something that we need to celebrate. The area was shared with many iwi who were able to come and go in fettering food and other relevant supplies to help their survival. And it is a wonder that these four iwi come together. And I think it's a common collective that other iwi and other organisations in this country should recognise, because clearly at times it's not easy, I know, in the common Pākehā world to bring the churches together, even though they pray to one God, Mr. Speaker. It's great that iwi, as great as Rereahu, Tūwhare Tō, Raukawa and Maniapoto have seen fit to come together to help this build progress. Tariana mentioned those efforts by Brian Sterling and Philip, and I really want to mihi to Philip, who's put a lot of effort into this over years. He's certainly shown what rangatiratanga is about. He's certainly shown what leadership is about. But I also want to recognise Glenn Cutty for his unsterling support and afi, genuine afi, to make sure that this got here, that this settlement has got here. So in the sense of that, it's important that with pride and fondness, I do recall signing the terms of negotiating at the opening of their tourist centre. It's quite a fascinating place, this Maraeroa. It's sort of like where I live. It's out in the sticks, but it's a great paradise. And that they have kept up with being a modern iwi in the sense of the corporate affairs they have, the businesses that they have are a good example to the rest of the country. But that they've seen fit to not just talk the talk about the new generation and that they have practiced that and that they have an environmental friendly tourist centre is something to be recognised and again celebrated. And it's been a long time coming today, but it certainly hasn't been without their effort and officials in the Crown. Unlike other settlements, this settlement is for the descendants and the original owners of Maraeroa A and B. And that's one group of the 7 that was split up and partitioned, as I recall. And to keep that connection, not just through the cultural sense, but through the bloodline sense, the whakapapa sense, is something that is certainly stirring. Because whakapapa and culture connection to what the old people have left behind generally gets put asunder by either dastardly deeds or people over-modernising and forgetting what really has given them the right to put their mantle down and stand tall as those people of that area. And this in itself, for me, is one of the interesting settlements of these times, because it's generated out of the effort of a whole lot of iwi, but it's also something that is consistent with maintaining and not just re-recognising, but ensuring that people know who the descendants are and who the uri are of those people. And they need to be commended for that. Government recognises that through the native land laws and the operation of the Native Land Court, the government failed to adequately provide for the original owners of Maraeroa A and B. And there is a raft of stories in relation to what went on in Maraeroa A and B. The settlement bill also records an apology to the descendants of the original owners of the Maraeroa A and B blocks for historical acts of omission of the Crown, including native land laws and, again, the operation of the Land Court, that led to the alienation of the Maraeroa lands. I think those who understand the practice of alienation and the journey through history, it is something that is very hard to turn around and to take back to rightfully recognise what was wrongly done. And I think the effort by the Minister, the officials and everybody in this House in trying to ensure our part as members of Parliament is put right is something to be very proud of. And certainly congratulations to Te Maraeroa Trust and Trustees who represented the descendants of the original owners. It's also important to recognise the transfer of a number of sites and of the significance to the Maraeroa A and B incorporations. And there are a host of them. Tariana went through them and other speakers will go through them. But Mr. Speaker, I do want to reiterate that this is a very, very substantial settlement in the sense of what it is, more so than the quantum. I always like to suggest to the Minister that quantum's a bit on the low side. He could make an effort, and he could do that today, even at this late notice, step it up a bit. And he might feel generous when he gets up to speak, but it certainly is the practice, the design of it, and putting something terribly wrong right. But apart from that, it shows the cohesion and the effort and the persistence of these people who've been here to represent their people to get there through the long haul. They've come in few numbers today, but there are plenty of them up there. I remember going there and watching these kids sitting in the trees looking down at us, wondering where the hell we came from. But it is something that they need to be commended to, and I certainly am proud to be one of the members of Parliament here today to see the end of it and to thank them for their effort, and again the Minister and the officials. Kia ora tātou.
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
E nā mana, e nā reo.